Good morning and welcome to Planet Craft. I'm Natalie and today we're going to be doing some work in a designer. So just so I can kind of cover up what's going on in the background, I'm going to pop that screen a little bit bigger. So I'm starting a new file and I want to be working on an insert. And one of the questions on one of the forums yesterday was about how can we create a insert if all we've got is an A4 printer. So bear with me one moment, I'm just getting the chat up so I can say hello to everyone. Okay, so morning Linda, and hopefully you can hear me all right. If you want to let me know. Looks like my display is a bit shrunk. Bear with me one moment and I will just double check my display is coming through correctly. There we go. We'll be here in a moment. Just let me just get that in the right place, as you won't see everything that I'm doing and that won't be good. Okay. There you go. Sound is fine. Brilliant. Okay. So, when we're working with a printer, it can be really easy to think, oh, if I can't fix it on A4, I can't do it. And that's not necessarily true. So you're going to be wanting to use your printer's manual feed tray. And basically when you do that, you can use pretty much any size of paper so long as it stays within the width of an A4. So for instance, if you want to do an insert for a 7-inch card, and that insert would therefore be roughly 7 by 14, although I'm going to get a bit more into why it isn't 7 by 14 in a bit. Because that 7 inches fits within the narrow edge of our A4, so if I swap this to inches, you can see your page width is actually 8.26, so about 8¼ inches. We can still use our A4 printer without having to go and invest in an A3 printer. So when we're looking at printers, what we've got to think about is the width and not necessarily the height of the page. And I mean that when we've got our paper in a portrait format. Okay. Now obviously our inserts generally tend to be landscape. So I'm going to do a bit of a custom document. So I'm going to go to 7 inches by 14. Okay. I'm going to say I want it landscape. Okay. And colour wise, I'm going to go to CMYK because we're going to be printing. Colour profile, for those of us that are in the UK, Europe, we're probably going to want to use the Euroscale options. If you're elsewhere on the planet, then you will have a local one that you can kind of go to. But I tend to stick to the Euroscales. And usually with inserts, they're going to be on plain printer paper, so we can go uncoated. So going down to our margins, because our card, even though we say it's a 7-inch card, actually isn't 7 inches, it actually sits within that, so it's about 6 3/4. We then want our insert to sit a little bit within that. So what I'm going to do is first of all set my margins to 0.25 divided by 2, and it's going to do the calculation. So at any point that you need to kind of have that calculation happening, don't be afraid to make the software do it for you, rather than thinking, oh, I need to go and put that into a calculator. The other thing to bear in mind is that when you're printing on an inkjet in particular, you will tend to find that there is a slightly wider border on the right hand edge, in this case, because you're working landscape. If you're working portrait, it's going to be at the bottom. So I'm just going to put that as 0.25, just to be safe. And at this point we can go and create that document. There we go. Ta-da! So, welcome to your insert. So we know that this edge is kind of the outer limits of where our printing is going to be on that piece of paper. But what I would actually say is you want to come in just a little bit from that, so that you kind of can give yourself a little bit of a bleed. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop in some guides. And these guides are just going to help you kind of work out where things are going to go. And I'm doing this all by eye, so it's roughly about the same distance again. The only time that's going to change is on this right hand edge. And these guides aren't going to change how it prints or anything like that. It is just literally there for your reference. Try to keep an eye on comments too. I'm a little quiet apparently. And happy birthday to Carol. Yes, happy birthday, Carol. So let me see if I can just increase the volume just a little bit. Should be up as high as it goes, so it's probably going to be a system preferences thing. So, let's turn me up a bit. So there you go. Should be a bit louder now. Hopefully not too loud. I hope I haven't deafened everybody. Okay, so with your basic document setup, what you can do is you can save it as a template if you want to. But first of all, let's just do a save as. And let's start a new folder on the desktop. We'll call it inserts. So, base template, 7-inch card insert. Now, down here we've got export as template, and again it's going to try and put it in a different folder because it's going to go to where you last saved a template. So we can go back to our insert folder and save that again, so that we can always have that to come back to if we need to. There we go. So, sorry about that. I'm having a bit of a different setup today. So, last week I was busy filming the workshop that ran at the weekend. So, my big computer is currently set up for doing that. So, I thought, well, rather than try and rechange it all to then change it back later, I would do this lovely stream on this one. So, once you've got your document set up, now we need to actually start putting something on it. Now, the reason that I said about the printable area is we're going to be doing some full colour printing. So, if you are low on ink, you are probably not going to want to do this project. You can just concentrate on the upper layers as I do them. But I thought, well, why not go all out and we'll go a bit mad. So, I'm going to go to my folders, and I've already done a quick search for all the ones that I've set up as Christmas. And we have lots of fun printables, so we can have some owls. And then we have some papers that go with them. So I'm thinking a nice pale background is going to be the way to go to start with. And ideally something with smaller details. If you're going to go for something that has bigger, sometimes it can detract a bit from any text that you put over the top. But I will show you a way that we can cope with that. So I'm going to take that file and I'm going to drag it to my Affinity when it wants to. Come on, open up. It's not going to want to do it for me today. There we go. So with it open, we can just copy it and we're going to paste it in. And straight away we can see, oh, it's not going to fit, right? Don't panic. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink this up, because remember, we want our pattern small. The temptation would be to go the other way and stretch it to fit. Nope, that's not what you want to do in this situation. So, one background in, and how can we make it so that it fits our margins and it fits everywhere else? So I'm going to start by drawing a box. And it's just going to go round the margins. Come on. There we go. And usually it'll come in a kind of grey colour. But that doesn't matter. So you can see that goes round the margins, ignoring our guides. And into that, I'm going to then drop my picture. So if I click and drag and hold it over the top, you're going to see that it has like a faint blue line underneath, and that actually insets from the actual shape that I'm dropping it onto. So then I'm going to let go. It's going to drop it inside. And we can see that now our snowflakes are trimmed to the outer edge. So now we can click on that image and go, well, actually, we need it to be a little bit bigger and spread out. But the easy way to do that is to create a copy, change to your move tool, and we can still move it the same way. And just move that across. Now, you will find that there's going to be a join in the middle, just because resizing it and everything else. So you just want to move it so that you kind of get that overlap. And it may be that you have to use 3 copies. There we go. So our join's about there. Just going to zoom in, and we can use our keys. That is our arrow keys to actually line these up, so we get a nice smooth join. And now that we've done that, we've got a little bit on the end. So you have a choice. You can either do another duplicate and move it again, or we can go, well, we shrunk it down in the first place, so we've got room to stretch. Just undo that a moment. Excuse the Mac, keep going as if I'm right clicking. I'm really not. There. So we've got the start of our insert. I'm going to select that rectangle, and before I go any further, I'm going to drop in a guide. And that's going to show me where the centre line is for my insert. So if you want to at this point, you can pop in a little score line so that you have a guide to follow. And I always just double check that it is lined up in the middle, which it is, because it becomes important when we start to put in things like text. So we've got our snowflakes in, and now let's add a little bit of detail and a bit of interest. I'm going to go back to my Finder, and we've got some funky little owls that we could use, which are very Christmassy themed, but let's go for something a bit different. So we could go for a Christmas tree. That would look quite funky. So we want the pink one. And because we want to put this image over something else, this time we're going to, instead of using the JPEG image, we're going to use the PNG so that we have the transparent background that we can utilise. And I'm going to go for this nice pink one. Come on. Don't throw the MacBook out the window, it won't like it. Come on. Anybody think I haven't been working with it all morning? I've overworked it, that's what it is. Come on. See, look, even me, it has days where it's just like, nope, nutty. Come on. Let me click and drag it. It's just not wanting to play ball. Right, if ever it misbehaves like this and you can't get it to do it, if you right click, go open with. I'm going to open it with Designer so I can stop playing about. And there's our file. Copy and paste in. It has its moments. There we go. So now it's going to drag just fine. Oh dear, you've got to love it. So this is from now two different sets, but they look like they go together. I'm going to size that down like so and lift it up from that bottom edge. So remember how we've got this margin here? That could be where we just want to just tidy up and have that. Can you click on the picture instead? Yeah, it might be easier to do that in future. It's trying to be too clever is what it is. It thinks I'm trying to do a 3D click when I'm not. I just want to be able to click and drag. Okay. So, got that in there. Now what it's going to go and do something daft. I don't want it to do that. I want it to go back to that one. Thank you. And I want another tree. Now that one's quite funky. Let's do a click and a drag with that instead and get it to behave that way. There we go. Copy it. Paste it. And I'm going to shrink it down. And I'm going to pop it behind. But again, I'm going to have it so it goes off the edge. And just bring that tree that we just had in to the front. Oh wait, it's going to look a bit weird. So that means that our printable area is probably going to cut off our tree back there anyway. But we can actually drop the image into there as well if we want to make our lives easier. So we've got our trees, and let's see what else we've got, because I'm thinking it'd be really nice to have like a top and a bottom border. So I'm sure in all these lovely Christmas bits there is something that will work. So we've got some snowflakes that we could use to create a border with, if we want to do it manually. Now, I don't want red green, but a snowman might work. Let's have a look. So PNG, and we've got some snowflakes. Let's put a little snowman out, because he should look quite good on that blue background. There we go. Copy it, paste it. Now bear in mind at the moment this is still working in your base file, so you are going to want to do a quick save as, and I'm going to put it so he's right down the bottom and past our margin. And the idea being I want to put some kind of border along here that we can kind of sit him on. Okay. Did I say morning, Deb? I'm not sure I did. A morning, Carol. So, by the way, Carol, if you can't see chat, Mum says happy birthday. Oh, don't want that. Quit. It's supposed to be... Right, back to this one. So, let's have a look at the preview. Don't want penguins. We could go baubles. That'd be quite fun at the top. But I can't find anything else. I might come back to those. What's we got in that one? See, there's lots of snowflakes, but no snowflake borders. So, as there's something that is from one of our other sets that's already a snowflake, to be consistent, let's use one of those. And I'm just going to take that into Affinity. And while I'm still here, let's take that one and pop that one into Affinity too. Copy that into our base template, paste it in. It's going to be huge, that's fine. Copy that one, paste it in. Okay, so I'm going to start by kind of building up a border using these two snowflakes. So size it down. So you want them to be bigger than your pattern in your background. And then we can take the Alt key. We're going to click and drag. And that's going to take another copy. Back across here. And you don't have to get these level, you'll be pleased to know. I'm quite liking that. So this one up here on this end, just because it's going into the corner, I'm going to bring it down. Move that one there. So you kind of get a bit of an arch effect going on. So maybe just down just a little bit more. There we go. So your verse is going to go over here, but we can still put whatever you want to on this left hand panel. So I'm going to take a copy of these over here. So select them, Alt and drag, put them over there, and we can leave those nice and big. Now, if all you're going to do is just put Merry Christmas, obviously the size of those won't hurt, but I'm just going to drop them down just a touch. So we've got bigger version over here, smaller version down here. Okay. And Carol says thank you, Mum. So I'm going to start with my pen tool. I'm going to draw a line across the bottom. I'm going to come up that vertical edge here, and then I'm going to click and drag. Click and drag. I know this is hard for you to grasp some days, Mac. Come on. Ding, ding. Pack it in. So we should now have a closed shape that kind of has a bit of life to it. We are going to go and put white in it. Now, straight away that's going to look really boring, but it's a start. I'm going to go to Effects, and we're going to go to Inner Shadow as a kind of first one. So if you are working with most of the software, you're going to be able to do some kind of shadow effect. Now that could either be by subtracting that shape that we've just drawn from your background and putting a drop shadow on, or in this case we can put a shadow actually inside the object. Now when we're wanting to do a shadow, don't use black. We're going to go to colours and at least go for a purple. Okay, and at the moment it's going to look like you haven't changed anything, and that's because at the moment we have our radius turned down. So if we increase our radius, you can see that it's going to get wider. We can offset it so it has a bit of a swoosh to it, and we can make it stronger and softer. So fully intent is a bit mad and it goes a bit pixelated, but if you go nice and soft down the bottom, we can also change how dark it is and how light it is using our opacity. So there we go. Now one thing I would say to bear in mind is if you have it angled, as we do from the top left, on your snowy bank down here, you're going to get a bit of a shadow there. Okay, so you can cut inside that so that it hides it, and that would be my recommendation, which is why we have our margin there. But we can also, with some other software, we can go 3D it so that it actually gets a bit more 3D. And again, don't use black for your shadow, but it's good for you to see that as an option. Or we can do bevel and emboss, which is going to look slightly different again. So that's actually going to put a shadow underneath it as well. And with our shadows, we can change that to nice muted purple or blue, and it's going to look totally different again. I'm going to go blue because it's kind of going on to the blue there too. Let's also just get my sliders, and I'm just going to tweak that blue slightly. So I'm just going to take a bit of magenta out so it's a bit more bluey green, and it's going to fit in a bit better. So don't be afraid to use your sliders like that. And close. There we go. So we have snow. And then we can bring our snowman back forward. So he's going to sit on the snow. Let's move him up just a little bit. We can go actually the tree and can bring forward and leave the other one kind of floating behind. So just going to make sure that the bottom of your tree is above the bottom of your snowman, otherwise the perspective won't look right. And I'm just going to drop a little tree down just a little bit, so it's going to tuck down behind our snow. So let's just zoom in a bit here so you can see. Back tree behind the snow, forward and front tree above the in front of the snow, but up a bit to where a snowman is. Now that's all well and good, but we could do with a bit more snow for this snowman over here to sit on. So rather than try and do something that's going to come up against this join, what we can do is we can use this hump in the snow here to actually kind of give us a base to put another swoosh. So I'm going to work underneath my little swooshy bit, if you can find it. There we go. I'm going to start up here, drag it out there, and back across to here, down to the bottom, cross level, and back up. And fill that with white. And we're going to pop it back one layer. And we can do the same again in terms of shadow. Now, it won't remember the settings, unfortunately. So, let's go to a similar blue. There we go. So it's slightly paler, slightly more purpley, so that's going to push it back. I can go close. Bring me snowmen to the front. And there we go. This tree here, we're going to bring it forward a couple. Actually, just want it to go. There we go. So it drops down behind that front swoosh, like so. And then our back tree, you can either put it so it kind of sits right at the back, or you can bring it in front of that back bit. I'm just going to lift it up very slightly. There we go. Okay, so we have a little snowman and tree on this side where our wording's going to go. Our bigger image over here, a little bit of a snowy border at the top, and then we've just got to do our text. And let's think what we put as a sentiment that goes with our little snowmen. So, sparkly snowmen. With wishes of Christmas. There we go. And just to make it a bit bigger. Dum-dum. Christmas trees decked. Colours of jewels. Issue. Such a good yule. There you go. Okay, so I've done that all with the artistic text tool, and if you want to, you can convert that back across to a text frame. So I think I'm going to do that, just because there's a few things that we can do with text frames that we can't do with artistic text. So if I stick that artistic text over there, I'm going to go to frame text, draw my frame, paste in my text. There we go. So let's choose a nice font that is going to go with the design. You're going to want something that's a bit scripty, a bit fun. It'd be a good one for Child's Play, but I don't actually have it installed on my MacBook yet. Can you believe? Let's go for that one. Let's make it a bit bigger so you can actually see it. Would be good. Okay, so with sentiments, I always think they look better when they're centered, which is why you want to use frame text, so that you can actually control where that centering is going to be related to. How long did it take you to think up that verse? I know, I'm doing it on the fly. I would love to say that I pre-planned that, but I didn't. I pre-planned everything else and then forgot a nice verse to use. So, if you want to, you can stretch out that frame so that it's automatically going to pop it in the middle. For now, I'm going to kind of stretch it down too. I'm going to select my text and we can go into my text control panel, which is opening. So I'm going to go to paragraph in Studio and I'm going to drag that out so that we can see it a little bit easier, especially on my small screen. So we have options for creating spacing between paragraphs. So if I do that, we can see then our lines are going to spread apart, but wherever I use the shift return, it's going to keep the line together. So that one there just needs to go to a shift return. So that's where you press and hold shift and then tap the return key. And that's basically saying that you're putting a break in a paragraph rather than starting a new paragraph. It could do another line in there. Sparkly cinnamon sunbite. Feel free to say, why don't you change the tidings to something else? Because my brain is going, blank. I might take the sparkly snowman out. Then it's just too short. Nah. Sparkly snowman stand by wishes of. What might snowmen be wishing of? A frosty Christmas. Sure, it's trying to think of things that rhyme with Christmas is a nightmare. Flurries of snow fall from above. Sending of comfort and love. There you go. It's just the sparkly snowmen that are being a pain. Need something to rhyme with Jules and Yule. Let's take the sparkly snowman out, because that's a little bit better. Flurries of snow fall from above, sending their wishes of comfort and love. And let's put a shift return that. Christmas trees bedecked in colours of jewels, ready to wish you such a good Yule. Let's take this off. You can get away with a little bit, can't you? I'm going to put that to a shift return, because it's going to look better, I think. And then we can just put the standard Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So let's just increase that spacing a little bit. There we go. And we can make that a little bit bigger for the... There we go. Now, the other trick is we can actually do a little bit of work with our text frame itself. Let me get hold of the button. Come on. There we go. And actually tell it that you want it to actually go into the middle of that space. And that's using this little button just here. We want to center it vertically. There we go. Now, generally what you'll find is when you do that, you're going to want to move that bottom line up so it's just about sitting on your border. And then it should just fit in there quite nicely. Now, if you think the black text isn't working for you, then we can change the colour of it. So we can use our eyedropper and we can click and drag that over our image. Now it's going to do this from a display capture in Affinity, but from other software it should go back to the original file, and we can then change our text colour. So then we've got a nice colourful insert. But let's say you've done a background which is conflicting. How can you get around it? So we can go to Effects and we can go Outer Glow. We can increase the radius and increase the intensity. And you're going to see that we have a glow that sits beneath our text, and that will automatically update whenever you change whatever text is in there. So far so good. Now that's one way of doing it. Another way, if I close that, is we can actually create a panel for it to sit on. So kind of looking at this, it is more rectangular than say an oval or circle, but that will all depend on your sentiment. I'm going to take that rounded corner and push it out a little bit so that it's not quite so close to the text. Drop it down beneath your text. Okay. I'm just going to nudge where that is so that we're in the middle of our text, like so. Then we can go to Effects, and in some software this option is known as Feather, and it's where you're going to soften the edge, but in Affinity it's Gaussian Blur, and we're just going to increase that so it's got a good width on it, and it's just going to make it look like it's just part of our background, and it's going to fade everything else behind it. Okay, so far so good. That's helped our text. Now if you still want to have a little bit of that pattern showing through, in your layers you can change your opacity so that we can just make it so that it's really soft, so you can still see the snowflakes, but they're just not going to be as strong. So it's kind of like one of those things where you just got that fine line of that's enough to see the snowflakes and it's knocked out the background. So that'll do. Now, because we've got that glow there, you can decide whether you're going to have that glow overlap your snowman, or we can bring him back to the front so that the glow goes behind him. in like so. And same with our snowflakes up the top here. So we can bring that one to the front. And bring this one to the front as well over here. And just bring that down and across. There we go. There's our insert. So then all you got to do is just set up your printer. Now that is going to vary by printer. So if I go to print, it's going to come up saying, but that won't fit on an A4. That's absolutely fine. We're going to go to show details. And if we go to manage custom sizes, then we can add in a new custom size. We can go, okay, it's 7 inches. No, not 7mm, 7 inches. Now, what I would say, some of them can't handle inches, so mine's going to be one of those that's just like, nope, it's not going to do it. So, cancel that for a second, cancel that. Document setup. Millimeters. And then it can give me my map then. So, this would be where having a pen handy would be handy. I have everything, but can you believe I actually have paper for once, but no pen? Bear with me one moment, just so I can note these down. Oh. There we go. Use my koala pen. So our dimensions are 355.6 by 177.8. And we go OK. File. Print. Manage custom sizes. So yours might do it slightly differently as to where you find your custom sizes. It might be that you need to set it up in the printer driver. So our width is 355.6. Height is 177.8. And you're going to see automatically it's going to put in those margins. Now what I would say is when it does that, just double check in your document that that's what you've got your document set to. So if I make a quick note of that, 6.35 and 14.11. Now, interestingly, it says that that's going to be on the left. So it's going to try and print it upside down, but that's okay. And let's give it a name, shall we? So, 7-inch insert. And just add a new one and just double check that it's saved that. Go OK. So we're going to go 7-inch insert. And there we go. We've got our document. And it's not in red, so that's a good start. So that says that probably we're almost certainly right. And you can go to print and print it out. So I'm just going to cancel that for a moment. And let's go into our document setup. Go to our margins. And our margins are actually a little bit inside where they need to be according to our printer. So if you do that and you find that that changes, just come back in here. We can set those up. 6.5, well, 6.35 I should say. 6.35. This one is 6.35 as well. And then the right hand one is 1411. Okay. So that's going to bring that within our margins pretty much. So where would you go from there? Start off with your rectangle, and we can just shrink that down to match our margins. Now what I would say is if your guides are close, just go to your guides manager and we can remove all guides, and that's going to make life a little bit easier when it comes to resizing this. So this is why it's so useful to have that base rectangle. And with that selected, we're going to pop in a new guide like so. So that's going to check our score lines. And we can just tweak the bits where we need to. There we go. Just going to move this little corner piece along. And with our snowy edge, I'm quite happy to just leave that where it is. But I might want to just drag that up at the bottom just to get that bottom shadow. It's up to you, you don't have to. But I think it's quite nice having that little bit of shadow. I'm going to do the same to the background one as well, but just let it go off the edge. Won't print anyway. Same with all these edges up here, won't print. So just make sure you're happy with what's actually within those margins. And that's looking pretty good. Off we pop. So, want to do a save as. And we can go Christmas snowman. And take the word template out because it's not a template anymore. It's just a 7-inch card insert. And we can do a save. Oh, hi Rachel. Long time no see. It's the only thing we're doing display ones. It's a little bit harder for me to see the comments. And what did you say, Carl? So last Friday I went to clean the Hoover bag as the paper bag had split, as they tend to. Fred went to look at some birds on the grass in front of my house. As I went to go back inside, Fred started to follow. Just then a big white 4x4 went zooming past. Scared for Fred, I started back up the path. When the car went past, there was Fred, sat on the footpath, waiting for the car to go. How clever is my cat? Aww. Okay. So, with that done, let's say we wanted to change to something else. Now, one of the other topics that was requested was floral. So I'm going to delete all these open files. Close that one. And let's go to open. And I'm going to open my template. That's going to come in with all the same guides. Now, bear in mind, because that's our template, that's still got the wrong margin. So before we go too far, let's update our template. So I'm going to go to margins, document setup, the margins. And we're going to see it's still in inches. Now, good news is, in here we can just go, okay, 6.35 mil. 0.35 mil. 13.35mm, and finally on that right hand edge 14.11mm, because Affinity doesn't mind you entering the one in the other and vice versa. Then we can take our guides and let's set those up as being slightly inside again, and then they'll be done then. Do not throw the MacBook out the window, Natty. It's not good. That's it, across there. Then back to our move tool. I'm going to pop in a guide. So there's our setup ready to go. I'm going to go File, Export as Template, and just save back over the other one. And replace. So that means next time when we come to do this, it's going to be all right. Okay, so with that done, we're still working in Untitled, so that's one of the benefits of using template as opposed to just having it as a document in a traditional format. So I'm going to go to my Finder window, and this time I'm going to search for flower. So we've got lots of flower folders and lots of different colours, so I'm going to find a couple that I think will work well together. So we've got some that have no colour listing on, so they're going to be like rainbow colours. And then others I've added kind of the main feature colours for what we'll find. So there isn't one that obviously has papers, so that's something to kind of bear in mind. Should we go autumn flowers? Because at the end of the day, we are in autumn. So we're going to go to our PNG, and let's do one which actually is suitable for if you've got like a low ink level. So we're not going to go full edge to edge printing. And I'm going to pull through just a few of the flowers and the leaves. So that one. Let's go for that one too. In there. Yeah, that one I do. And let's choose another couple of flowers. Like so. So we've got all those ready to go. I'm going to start off with the kind of leaf shapes first. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it in. It's going to be way too big, but let's just shrink it down. I'm going to rotate it. Like so. So bear in mind that's going to be going outside of our printable area. And let's get the next one, copy it, paste it. Again, I'm going to rotate it, so grab the handle at the top, shrink it down. When I got it in, there we go. And I'm going to pop that up there. And then we can just build the rest of our design using the flowers. So that one's going to come over here. Down, and I usually find that I end up rotating everything at least a little bit just to get it to kind of go where I want it to. So go into that corner. This one has no stem, so I'm going to put it down towards the bottom, otherwise it can look a bit weird. So I'm just going to pop that one there. And the last one. Shrink it down, move it across. So this is where your layer order can start to come into effect. So I'm going to bring this one that looks like it has a strawberry in it to the front. And could do with one more flower just to cover up this basin here. So if we go back to Finder, I want one that's got no stem. Really. So that one could work. It's just a case of which colour we want to go for. So let's go for that one. In there. Copy. Paste that in. Drag it down. Maybe a little bit bigger. Just to cover those stems. Just going to kind of frame that bit. And if you need to rotate it, just rotate it. That's probably going to work a bit better just in terms of this stem down here and that leaf. So it's just going to hide that. Okay. So it can be a bit confusing when you've got something like this as to where now your cut line is. So to make life a little easier, you're going to create a box, and that's going to go to your outer margins. And we're going to take all those images that we've just placed, and we're just going to drag them inside that box. There we go. So now we can see that all our images are in there and how they're going to look on our finished insert. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, it looks like it just needs to move up. So we can move that up. And this flower here just needs to move out a little bit. And I'm also going to rotate that so it's going to look like it's tipping itself towards the sun. And we can enlarge it if we need to. So when you're enlarging and shrinking elements, just pay attention to the outline so they kind of look consistent. So like this one looks a bit too bold. So I'm just going to just take it down just a touch and move it back across that way. There we go. And our leaf can go across this way. Maybe even just angle just that way, just a little bit. There we go. So now our rectangle still has that kind of soft grey in it. And I said I would show you how to do it so that you could save ink. So fill that rectangle with white. And then if you want to do like a nice vignette edge, then we can do that using effects. And this time we're going to go in a glow, I think. But instead of having it screen, we're going to set it to multiply. We're going to change the colour. So I'm going to click on my colour. I can use my eyedropper. So remember, we click and drag. And we can pick any colour out of our illustration. So I can go for this nice orangey colour. And click on that. And we can increase our radius. We can soften that colour back a bit so it's not using quite so much ink. There we go. And with your radius, even if you drag it up to the right hand edge and you think, okay, that's brilliant, that's as far as it goes, seemingly, but it's not far enough, you can still enter in an amount as well. And it will do that even though that's extending past that right hand edge. so it's going to be nice and soft. So if you then go, well actually that orange is a bit in your face, we can go to a beige and click the circle and it can do it for beige. That's going to be nice and soft. Also going to give you a line to cut to. Hi Louise. He follows you on your walks. Oh, that's sweet. Okay. So we've got our start of our insert, and this time let's go for text frame. And what are you trying to do is a polygon. I don't want you to pop the text in there, thank you. Let's just pop in a box there. I'm going to drag that right to the outer edge of the margin. And what should we put in here? Sending you warm autumn wishes for a fabulous birthday. And we can make this to Carol, couldn't we? And centre and centre. Okay. So at this point, don't worry about the fact that it's overlapping the design. We can fix that in a minute. I'm going to choose a nice font, and this time I'm going to go, actually that one could work quite well. Billion Cupcake. You do have to wonder at some of these fonts. There we go. So we can see that it's got a little bit of detail, so because we're printing it, it doesn't matter. So let's put another break in there, sending you warm autumn wishes for a fabulous birthday. Select all, colour, let's use the eyedropper again, and let's pick up the red. And we can use our kind of vertical control to kind of get that text where we need to. I think just there. Okay. Now, we can use that same technique to do an oval behind. So I'm just going to draw my oval very roughly. I'm going to put it behind my text. And then we can soften that edge. And for the most part, it's not going to look like it's any different, but what it is going to affect is any design that's under here. So I'm going to go close, and I'm going to take that opacity down because I still want it to kind of finish off that design. But I just want it so it doesn't interfere as much with the text. So I can move that over if I need to. I can shrink it up. I can expand it this way if I'm going, right, okay, that A and the Y just need a little extra. And like so. And there we go. Now that I'm looking at that, I can go, right, okay, well, I'll just move that up slightly. It's just going to fit that glow a little better. Let's change to artistic text. So this is where we can just click and type. So that if you want to, we can just go and put in the name if you don't like your handwriting. And if we go to used, it's going to show you the document, the fonts that have been used in that document, not the document that's been used in that font. And let's enlarge that, and we can go, Carol. We can pick out the orange so it's different. There you go, Carol. And with handwriting fonts, I like to try and put them on a little bit of an angle. Just going to bring it down as well. And there you go. Ah, I would have loved to have seen the rabbit on the lead. I've seen some that are in like pushchairs, and that's like, no. Yep, you've missed loads, Louise. Okay, so there's our floral one. So we can do our save as. And we can go floral, 7-inch insert. And again, we'll close everything. And then when we go to our template, it should come in the right size. There we go. So back to Finder, and the final one that I think had votes, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, and I will try and squeeze in. Anything else was Halloween. So no, Carol voted for this, so being birthday girl, shouldn't be do it, shouldn't I? So I've got lots of spooky things that we can do. So we've got cupcakes, witches' hats, owls, monsters, more monsters. We have some spooky trees, and we have some witches and boots and things like that. Okay. So I think the owls are quite funny. But let's go for... I'm going to start off with a frame. And let's pick one. I'm going to go with that one. Kind of looks a bit pumpkin-like, and drop that into Affinity. So I've got some witch's hats. So we could put a witch's hat on the frame, would look quite cool. The frame was orange, so I'm going to go either black or purple. I think purple would look better. So again, I'm going to drag that down, drop that into Affinity. So in this one we've got some little Halloween pumpkins. So again, I'm going to go to PNG so that I have that transparent background. We could go trick or treat. Should we go trick or treat? That looks quite fun. In there. I'm just hoping that it's kind of copying these across. Oh, let's go for a cupcake. It's quite funny actually. I'm doing some big lollipops at the moment, so lollipops are coming in quite a few projects I'm doing. So let's go for a purple lollipop. I'm going to drop that into Affinity. And another pumpkin. And a cupcake. Now, I've already got a witch's hat and a pumpkin. So you want to go for something different. So it could be a spider, but not everybody likes to open a card with a spider in there, so eeny, meeny, miny, mo. We can go for a ghost if we want. Let's go for a ghost. Ooh. Although, you know, it tends to sound more like I'm an owl. So, I'm going to copy this. Now, note it's got that white panel inside the frame, which can come in handy. And I'll paste that in there, and it's going to come in huge. So, just scale it down, because that is going to go into our insert over here. Like so. I'm then also going to take another copy of that. I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to rotate it. And let's make it bigger. Come on. There we go. Probably not that big. That's a little bit too big. So, just within your inner margin would be good. Okay. So, we've got the start of our layout. And next I want to get the hat to put on my frame. So that's this one. Copy it. Paste it. And again, it's going to be huge. So shrink that down. Zoom back in. In there. And I'm going to do it so that it's just sitting over the top corner of my frame like that. Next, we've got our sentiment. Again, huge. Zoom back in. And shrink this down to fit inside my frame. There we go. Trick or treat. Now, I've dragged the wrong one in. So there's the thing for making sure that you just have the PNGs rather than the JPEGs. Otherwise, we're going to end up having white backgrounds. So, let's just close those. So I want the lollipop, the pumpkin, and the cake again. Thank you. So, PNG, let's get the same cake, because I like that cake. Into designer, lollipop, and the pumpkin. There we go. And the reason that I definitely need to have it transparent is I'm going to create a background for these to sit on. Which is why I'm not too worried about my little ghost getting lost. So I'm going to build a little bit of a design in the bottom corner. Get the lollipop, backdoor insert. It's going to be huge. Nothing new there then. So yeah, I'm working on some 10-inch lollipops. Huge. So we can pop that there, down a little bit in size so it's not competing with our frame. Up from the bottom because we want it to kind of stick up from our cake. And just pop it back one. Okay, then we need our pumpkin. Wherever it's gone, there we go. Copy that and paste it in there. Scale it down because we just want it small. And there we go. Okay, so I'm going to do a rectangle again to go to that outer margin, and this time I'm going to fill it in purple, but just send it to the back first, and I'm going to just copy that hat colour, and I'm going to do it like that. Now obviously if we were to leave it like that, we can't really see our purple hat, but that's okay. I'm going to show you a few ways that we can get around it. First of all, I'm going to select my hat, my frame and the text, and I'm going to group it. Now when we have a group, we can apply an effect on that whole group as one. So we can go to Effects, Outer Glow, we can increase the radius, and we can change the colour. So with something like this, rather than having it as a white glow, if we change it to the yellow instead, we're going to end up getting like a yellow tinge. Now at the moment, because it's on screen, it's not going to be like really vibrant yellow, but if we put it on normal, it's going to go more yellow. Okay. Now remember how I was saying that you can increase that radius? I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger, like so. Okay. Now, because it's a yellow glow on a purple background, you're going to find it goes a bit muddy on the inside. So how can you fix it? Close that for now. I'm going to duplicate my group in place, and straight away you're going to see that yellow changes. But I'm going to go to my bottom group, go into the effects, into Outer Glow, and change this one back to white. So if you want to go to swatches and do it, you can do it in swatches. If you want to use sliders, you can use sliders, and so on and so forth. So the quickest way to get it back to white is just to have nothing in all your sliders and close. And then that is going to stop you getting too much mud underneath your colour blade. How's the lollipop making coming on? Well, we had a bit of a move around at the weekend, so the laser cutter is now set up. So if there's anything that you want laser cut, now is a good time to say, because we're actually set up for it now. Okay, so we've got our initial kind of design in place. I'm going to take a copy of these. I'm going to duplicate that across here, and I'm going to make it bigger, like so. Now obviously our ghost is going to fade out a bit on this edge here, so we can use effects there too, and this time we're going to go outer shadow. I'm just going to increase that radius a bit, and I would change the colour to purple rather than black. I don't tend to use a lot of black shadows at all, so we can go okay and close, so that he's kind of sticking out that background. Now if you want to do your pumpkin to match, because that's going to be going over the frame too, you can do. So outer shadow, purple, select purple, increase the radius, like so, and glows. But I did say I would show you how to create a pattern into this background. So if we go to our fill tool, we can go to a bitmap. Okay, so I'm going to go to Dropbox, Files by Others, Design Bundles. Okay, and the one I want is not going to be there. Okay, let's go back. Let's see where my folder references is. So if I go right click, show original, so then I can find out where I'm going. So I want to go into that one. Give me the name, come on. Okay, I'll do it the other way. And in print. There we go. So in here, then I want to go into designs, and let's choose a spooky one. So anything that says Halloween might have something that I can use. I might go for the one with no Halloween in it. Halloween cupcakes. Let's open that one. PNG. And we've got some hearts that we could use. Let's go for some hearts and go open. Okay. So let's just fill that with a colour for now. Right, pip that PNG, half a pop. Come on. It won't usually struggle this much. It's usually quite good at just putting it in. You'll be pleased to know that you won't have this trouble. It will behave. Let's go back and see if it'll do the JPEGs for me then. It just doesn't want to play ball today, does it? I'm going to go back to the PNG folder. And I bet I know what it is. It's having a bit of a hissy fit about it being Dropbox. Make available offline. I'm just going to think about it for a second. Okay. There we go. See? So if you're on an up-to-date Mac, you'll be aware of the issues that there are with Dropbox at the moment on Macs. So we can drop that pattern in and we can scale it down and down and down. And we can rotate it so that they're up the right way, like so. Okay. We can pop in a colour as well. So if we do a duplicate, I'm going to leave one with the pattern fill and the one underneath I'm going to set to the purple. Okay, so at the moment you're like, oh, I can't really see the hearts on that purple. That's okay. Going to just lighten it up a bit. There we go. So then you've got room to write a little sentiment there if you want to. But we could do with another one over here just for who it's from. So I'm going to take my ellipse tool, draw an oval, set that to white, Obviously be aware of your poor ghost, so that you don't knock him out too much. And there we go. Shrink that way. That's better. We have a spooky insert. See you soon, Rachel. Hi, Carol. Are you back? Is that a copy of the birthday insert, Carol, or is that the spooky one? But either way, you're quite welcome to have a copy of these. So, there we go. I've done floral, I've done Halloween, I've done Christmas. Any others before I go? But I think, otherwise, it's been a bit of a long one, so I'm going to call it a day there, I think. Just so I can still get other bits done that I need to do today, because I have exciting project to do today, which is going to be a blog post that is going to be up on the new Craft Store Direct blog. So you are going to be able to go and see that when that goes live. Do keep an eye out on the group as well, as I've been doing some work with Creative Fabrica. So the first of those blog posts has gone live. So you can always catch up with those, and that's all about vinyl over on Creative Fabrica, courtesy of Crafty Cutter with the blanks as well. So if you're looking for something to craft on too, do check out their blanks. They're very, very good. So take care for now, and I will see you possibly later in the week. Looking at starting to build up the number of lives leading up to Christmas to try and cover lots of different topics. So last Christmas we didn't get all of the projects done, so I still have loads that I want to show you from last year, let alone all the new stuff that I've seen that I'm like, oh, I really want to do that. So hopefully we can cover as much as possible. So it's going to be kind of a joined thing between the lives, the blog, which is going to start having more stuff put on it, but also hopefully, fingers crossed, there will be the digital version of the magazine coming out. The target is to get it done for the end of the month, just because the way September went, it all went a bit pear-shaped. So hopefully the end of the month we can get that going, and there will be book 2 before Christmas. There will. So that you're going to be able to get that, and it is going to be suitable not just for beginners. So I've tended to go for like slightly more tricky things to do, so that you can actually enjoy the book as much if you are a pro, if you are an improver, or if you're a beginner. There's going to be something for all of you. So take care, have fun, and I will see you when I see you. Bye for now.